We're going to advance with the advice for students because I am sure that the students that are watching us may have some questions for you. And some of them are perhaps about to start with their working life and they don't know how to start, how to address themselves, or what's even expected from them from people like you. So I ask you the question, what do you find the most important when making a decision on what job to look for and eventually looking for a new workplace?
From my opinion, very important is, but it's not only one point, is you should do what you really love to do. This is very important, but it doesn't mean that a job can't be hard and challenging. And I think to develop yourself as person, you should find a job where you can take over responsibilities or have the possibility to take over responsibilities, because otherwise you will stuck and stop to learn. And if you stop to learn, you don't develop yourself as a person, but you should have fun in doing it.
With experience that you've gained over the years, what would you say that are the keys for a job interview?
When a company sees your CV, in my opinion, you're telling a story in your CV, and you should tell an interesting story, because nobody is reading a book which is not interesting. And also, if you have gaps in your CV like I have, if the story is interesting and you can tell a good story, you become interesting. Also, what's very important, what we see, is basics. Never send a Word CV, send a PDF CV. And if you make your introduction letter, you should really show that you're interested in the company. If you send out your standard letter, it's a complete no-go. Then you're out of the people who can reach that job. So you should find a job which you're really interested, and you should show that you are the right person with the right story. And
I can totally agree with that because, like from a company perspective, we hired so many people in the last months, and so when we have this job interviews with candidates, then what we really like to see is the motivation. Why won't they do that? So, and that is so much more important to me or to Christian than having a lot of experience in that field or having a lot of know-how or knowledge or so the most important thing is the motivation, because when you have that good company fit and the good culture fit, then everything else can be learned. But like from a company perspective, but when you don't have this company fit, and when you don't have this motivation and don't have like the same values as the company has, then you can't learn that really well. So we focus really on that topics rather than on experience and on knowledge. And I think it's very important to be honest.
Okay.
You know, there's so many guides who say, when they ask for your weaknesses, you need to tell something which is not so bad. You know, for example, so yeah, sometimes I'm
too
yeah,
ambitious.
too ambitious.
I'm getting up too early.
I work too long, so I forget my friends and that stuff, and nobody believes that shit. Really. That's you need to be honest, because everyone has weaknesses and every person has also strengths, and you need to talk very open about that, because then both sides can decide whether this is a good fit or not. It's not only the company chooses the person; it's also the person chooses the company, because when you don't like the company and the position, then it's also not good for you.
True. Going a little bit more in the ways of building a business, uh, perhaps there are some students that would like to build a business someday, but they cannot decide whether to start with it, if they are sure that they want to take that jump, to take that shot. Do you have an advice for them?
I think it's such a wide field, but I think if you're ambitious and have the possibility, you should try. If you're passionate for a thing, and you have the possibility to do it because you're young, and if you make a job you don't like 2 years, or you try to build your own business 2 years, What's better?
It's the hardest thing to do, to start, because what I witnessed is that so many people have great ideas about businesses, products, services, whatever, but they don't start it because they are too shy, or I don't know if I can do it or if it will work or not. But the reality is that every big company out there, is it Microsoft or Zalando or whatever, has started from the beginning. So it's not possible to be big on the first day. So I think if we can give an advice, then just try it out and talk to as many people as you have in your network, because that's what we done in the beginning. So we had an idea and we wanted to do it, and for that, to in order to get started, talk to people about that. Hey, do you think it's a good idea? What would you challenge, or can you give me an advice, or do you know a person in that area who can maybe help me out, or a person who could may challenge my vision or my thing I want to start. I think that's a good way to start.
A phrase that I read on your LinkedIn, it's really related to what we're talking about. So it says, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm, from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I saw it on the top. That what role do you think that the attitude and enthusiasm play in job success?
It's important that you should love what you do and you have enthusiasm for what you do. And if you have that, you have your engine fueled with enthusiasm, and then you can go the extra mile. Everybody's talking about walking the extra mile, but it you need to fuel up to do that, and you can do that with enthusiasm when you do what you love. We have days which are really challenging, but we're coming every day into the office and being happy that we can work on our project and continue, and this engine needs to be fueled with enthusiasm. It's a lot of other things, but I think most other things can be learned, and enthusiasm you need to fuel up.
Okay. So Justus, for you, what is the greatest quality that you can find in an employee and in a leader for your company or for a company in general?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to bring it down to one quality, but when I need to choose one, then I would say that's the motivational aspect we had in the beginning, or the enthusiasm which Christian said. And I really like to make an comparison to football.
Okay.
So when you think who is going to play in the starting team, so this is 11 players out of a bigger team, and only the 11 football players play, which have the best performance, who give everything, who really want to win that game, and they are going to play right from the beginning. And because they have this motivation and they have this ambition and they really want to do it, and they love to be on the defense position or on the offense position. And I think the biggest quality on the leader, or let's say trainer, is to make a target, to say, hey, we want to win that game, and I have a rough idea how we can do it. Like we have that positioning, and we want to play with two attackers and four defenders or something. But the trainer can't tell the player, in that situation you need to go left, and in the other situation you need to go right. So they have to create an idea about how they want to play, how they want to interact with each other.
Okay.
But they can't tell everyone how to interact in every single situation. And so that is the maybe the leadership idea of Christian and me, is that we want to create an idea, we want to create a space where and want to set a target where we want to be, but how the employees or the team will get to that is in their responsibility, and we can guide them, and maybe we can bring them on the way when they get another way or too far away from the target. But the idea is that everyone is responsible for his task, his position, or her position, her task, and drives to what all the team and the leader together committed.
Okay, from your last comment, I would like to ask like a brief question, and it is, what do you think from being like colloquially say it, on the neck of someone, like really checking what the person is doing the whole time? Because you said that it's good that everyone has his role. So what do you think from that? Do you think it's better to like just let them work, or what do you mean like with giving them their space?
I mean, when you are the defender in the team, and then your responsibility is that we don't get a goal in our, then this the target is clear, and you and maybe we talk about a little bit of tactics and the positioning, but in the moment where you in front of the ball, I can't tell you what to do, right? You need to do it by yourself. You need to decide, I go left, I go right, I gonna tackle them, and I think that's the same in a company. We have to build an environment where everyone can have his own space and work by its own on that task or on that through that target. So Christian and me try more to be a coach to help when they need help, but don't stay around and say, okay, next you're gonna do that and do that and do that and do that, because then you never will be able to work on your own.
Thank you. Okay, and now I have another question, but this one is a little bit easier for you. Changing completely the topic. So, Christian, what's easier to choose, and what's more difficult, to choose for a white wine or a red wine?
It's
a little bit tricky.
No, it's not a difficult question. I believe that it's way more difficult to find a good white wine than to find a good red wine, because white wine is way more complex to find a good one, especially when you search for a good dry white wine. I can name you some good.
What's your favorite white wine?
Oh, I don't have no favorite, because I try a lot white wine and always be open-minded for good white wines. They have to be dry, obviously.
Okay.
And I think red wine is way easier. So, okay. But it's my personal opinion. I don't want to offend somebody with my opinion.
You red wine lovers. And I have noticed that you like football. And if I tell you who's gonna be like a good player in the future, like that right now it's like getting formed, who would you say?
I really like a young player from the Netherlands. He is called Bona. And okay. He can play on the defense, or he can play on the midfield defense part, and he's playing at RB Leipzig.
How old is he?
16, I guess.
Okay, so Bona, did you say?
Bona,
if you're watching this, someone's really trusting you.
Big fan.
Big time, eh?
Yes.
So thank you very, very much for this opportunity. You were my first guest in this channel, and I wish you the best for the future. And I would like to ask you, before we finish this, would you like to add something?
No, for him.
Yes, thank you very much for having us. And, it was fun. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
thank
so
you.
Thank you. This was Uniexplus, and have a successful day.